It is now in order to consider Amendment Number 7, printed in Part B of House Report 114-325. For what purpose does the gentleman from Kentucky seek recognition?
Mr. Chair, I have an amendment at the desk.
Clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment Number 7, printed in Part B of House Report Number 114-325, offered by Mr. Massey of Kentucky.
Pursuant to House Resolution 507, the gentleman from Kentucky, Mr. Massey, and a member opposed, each will control 5 minutes. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Kentucky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm honored to offer this amendment today with my Democrat colleagues from California, Ms. Lofgren and Ms. Eshoo. This amendment would allow the General Services Administration, the GSA, to construct, install, and operate electric vehicle charging stations for private vehicle use at federal facilities at no cost to the taxpayer. In 2012, Congress passed legislation with broad bipartisan support to allow members of Congress and their staff to access EV charging stations on Capitol grounds for a fee. But federal agencies currently lack the authority to install and operate electric vehicle charging stations. So federal employees are unable to charge their electric vehicles while at work. At this time, I would like to yield 4 minutes to my colleague from California.
Thank you. The lady from California is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased that we're considering this amendment today. In fact, the genesis of this idea came to me in a constituent letter in February of 2014. I was contacted by a constituent who works at a local federal facility who was surprised and dismayed that he was unable to charge his electric car at work. We found that due to a quirk in the reading of current law, federal agencies were prevented from providing EV charging facilities for personal use by their employees. Thanks to this constituent's suggestions, I introduced a bill last Congress, the EV-Commute Act, to allow federal agencies to provide charging stations for their employees at no cost to the taxpayer. I'm grateful to my colleague, Mr. Massey and Ms. Eshoo, for joining me in that effort, both as co-sponsors of the EV-Commute and of this amendment. This story is a great example of democracy at work and the power of citizen participation in generating ideas. After 2 Congresses of introducing the EV-Commute, I'm happy to support this amendment here today. It's a straightforward amendment that will make federal workplaces more efficient, flexible, and innovative by allowing the GSA to install and operate electric car charging stations at federal facilities for use by employees at no cost to the taxpayer, fully covered by user fees. Currently, if members of Congress and their staff choose to drive an electric vehicle to work at the U.S. Capitol, we have the option to pay a fee to plug in our vehicle so that it will be fully charged and ready to go when we're ready to leave. But our constituents that work at federal agencies outside the Capitol don't have the option. My district in Silicon Valley continues to lead in advancing innovation in the EV charging industry. Yet nearly 5,000 federal employees in my district do not have access to charging facilities at work. Congress approved electric vehicle recharging at the U.S. Capitol complex with strong bipartisan support in the House and Senate. This amendment corrects the disparity, allows federal employees more choice in how they commute, gives the GSA and agencies flexibility on whether to provide charging, how to provide it, including through contractors, improves air quality while reducing reliance on foreign oil, and does so at no cost to the taxpayer. I urge my colleagues to support this amendment to expand workplace charging and transportation options. I thank Mr. Massey for yielding to me and for being my partner in supporting and pursuing this innovation. Thank you very much.
Gentleman from Kentucky.
Mr. Chair, American companies are leading the world in development of electric vehicle technology. All we're asking for in this amendment is to enable the infrastructure to be built at no cost to the taxpayer. Providing access to electric vehicle charging stations will give federal employees enhanced flexibility in purchasing vehicles and more options in their commute. The construction, installation, and operation of the charging stations would be covered by user fees, so taxpayers would incur no cost. I urge my colleagues to vote for this amendment, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back the balance of his time. Any member claim time in opposition to the amendment? Hearing none, question occurs on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Kentucky. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The amendment is agreed to.